Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today I'm checking out a 2021 Ford Bronco 4-door advanced 4-wheel drive in the Wildtrak trim level. This vehicle is sitting on 315/70 Goodyear tires wrapped around 17-inch alloy wheels with a gloss black finish. It also has 4-wheel disc brakes with ventilated disc rotors on all 4 wheels. The name of this color is Cactus Gray, and it seems to go well with all the black accents this vehicle has, and quite a few people have commented that this is the best looking color they've seen on the Bronco. You can check out this approach angle, and that is the space right in here in which you can pull up to a surface like a rock or something, and you can the bumper isn't too far down, so the approach angle is where you can come up, and there's a lot of the angle right in here in which you can climb over obstacles, that kind of thing. It also has the skid plates here on the bottom as well. Recovery hooks here and here. Now the grille has active grille shutters, so it can divert air around the vehicle when it doesn't need that extra cooling. In this bumper, you can see that you can take off this section of the bumper here if you want to have a little bit better approach angle when needed. Now the bumper does have parking sensors. You can see one here, here, across the front. Here's the sensor for the radar adaptive cruise control system right in there. Now has a camera system all the way around the vehicle. There's one of the cameras here, and this is also used as like a trail cam, so you can get a really wide view and see what you're approaching, because it kind of does have a boxy front end, so there's a significant amount of blind spot. So when you're looking with your eye, you know, it's hard to see what's right in front of the vehicle. You can't really. So having that front camera really helps out in just day-to-day driving it, much less on a trail cam situation in which you need to see obstacles and stuff like that. So that's a really good addition. It also has cameras on both side mirrors as well, here and here, and in the back, of course. So the headlights are LED, and they have an LED halo around the outside, as well as this accent light, this line that goes through it. And it's a reflector system. I have a night video on my channel, so you can check it out, showing you what it looks like at night and also going on the road and all that stuff. But the low beams are here at the top, and the high beams are on the bottom. And it's a really good LED system to where it's not like overly blinding other people, but it does give you good visibility, and it seems to work really well. The exterior lights are better than the interior lights. That's a little bit of a spoiler for the night video, but you really need to check it out because there is some significant problems with the interior lights. Now it also has these tie-down spaces here, and even gives you a 150-pound load as far as what you're going to tie down. So if you need to tie something down to the front of the vehicle, that kind of thing, you can utilize those. Now it has the Wildtrak badging here on the hood, and it also has here on the side basically just a decal, and all the way across the side as well. So the grille is a nice glossy black, but most of the black on the vehicle is a matte black. So these fender wells here, the decals here on the side, the pillars are all this stuff is a flat black. Now it does have a gloss black side mirror to kind of match the front, but that combination of this color and the black really looks good. Now the handles are body colored, and you know, like everything else as far as the trim goes, is all a matte black. This is what the key looks like. It's a full proximity system, and it looks just like the other Ford keys that they have on the market. It has the Bronco badging here on the back, but other than that, it basically looks the same. And it's a large key and relatively heavy, but it's just the bulk of it is a little bit of a pain sometimes. Now it does have remote start, lock, unlock, and a panic button as well. But it's a full proximity key, so you can just use the vehicle 100% just by having the key with you. And as long as you have it in your with you, like a bag in your pocket. As long as it's within a close proximity to the outside of either the front driver or passenger door, you can lock the door by placing your hand over the sensor here. It looks like a button, but it's actually just a sensor, so you don't actually have to push it, but it does give you a clear area in which you put your hand. I mean, you can just put your hand over it and it'll lock the doors. To unlock the doors, there's a sensor on the back of the handle here, and it senses the proximity of the key and make sure that you have the key on the outside of the door, and it'll allow you to unlock the door and access the vehicle. There's also a physical key location here on the driver's side only. You also have a keypad here, so you can access the vehicle even without the key if you have the combination. This vehicle comes from the factory very high off the ground, has a lot of ground clearance, and this particular vehicle doesn't have a side step, but you can add a side step to make it easier to get in and out because it is quite a ways off the ground. It's fine for me, but if you're under 6 feet tall, then you probably want to have a step or something like that. So here's the inside of the passenger door, and it has controls here just for the lock and unlock, but it doesn't have the window controls or anything on the door. The doors are removable, just like a Jeep. You can remove the doors, you can remove the top. It's that kind of vehicle, and it's mostly a hard plastic. And you'll see that in this vehicle a lot. And some people kind of perceive that as a cheap material or whatever. But in this particular case, with the style of this vehicle, the interior is intended to be like potentially rained in sometimes. So, you know, you can take the top off and all that stuff, and you know, it does have like splash proof buttons and stuff like that, and I'll show you that when we get inside, especially the steering wheel. It's like the buttons are covered up, and you'll notice it has a net pocket here, so when you put a bottle or whatever you're going to put in there, it kind of keeps it pressed against the side, so that way it's not, you know, bouncing around whatever you put in there. And this is open here, so you can't utilize that as a pocket or anything. This is a little bit soft, that's a little bit soft, not really that soft, but it's softer than the rest of the door. It does have a power seat, which is interesting because like the Jeep Wrangler does not have a power seat on any of their models because of the, you know, the off-road and the water fording and all that kind of stuff. But this one, you know, does have the power seat with the ability to go up and down, go forward and back. Has a lot of articulation for a passenger seat. Even has a two-way lumbar adjustment as well. Now, Ford says that these are leather-trimmed vinyl seats, so I'm not sure exactly what part is vinyl and what part is leather, but it doesn't really tell you, but it does have some stitching there, piping on the outside, and a two-tone, kind of like a brown and a black seating surface there. And they are pretty comfortable. They are pretty comfortable seats. It has the Bronco right there, kind of lightly embossed in the back of the seat. But yeah, pretty comfortable seats. They are heated as well, and man, do they get hot. They're really, really warm. So if you're in a really cold climate, this spectacular heat on these seats. Now this has the all-weather rubber mats in it, and does snap in place in one place right here, kind of keeping it from moving around on you. But you can see how well it fits in here. It's, for the most part, fits pretty good. Now there's some parts where it kind of folds over, but the intention is to keep any mud or slush or anything in this compartment here, and then that way it doesn't get into the carpet. So there's the carpet there. And it doesn't appear, from what I can tell, the carpet is not removable. So unlike, say, like a Jeep Wrangler where the carpet is easily removable, this one doesn't really have that feature. Lockable glove compartment. And also a couple places that you can lock your stuff if you have the doors off. The glove compartment is one place. And it has a smooth plastic interior. When entering the vehicle, it has these really nice handles here. You just grab right there. It's kind of like rubberized. You can grab it and you kind of lift yourself up. It's kind of in a really interesting position. A lot of vehicles have it up here, and you think this is kind of too low to lift yourself up, but actually it has a good pivot point. Once you get one leg up into the vehicle, you can kind of pull yourself right up, and it's really nice, and has a strong rubber grip to it, so your hand's not going to slip. So pretty impressive. And so this is a hard plastic here, the dash as well, but it has that two-tone color just like the seat. There's also these quick access little places to put some stuff there on the dash, and a 12-volt power supply in the center of the dash. And these tops are removable. You can take these two off like T-tops, or the second row, and then you can continue on and just take the whole top off, really, and the doors off. It's really interesting. Very similar to the Jeep Wrangler. And if you know much about the whole Jeep, military Jeep history, Ford had a large part in manufacturing those and developing those. So it's pretty interesting how much similarities this vehicle has to the Jeep Wrangler. So you can see the front door is quite a bit wider than the back door. So the opening is really good. It's easy to get in and out of. The only thing is the height off the ground. The back door is pretty good as well. Now it's a little bit smaller, but as far as getting in and out of the vehicle, it does have the handle in this higher position to get in and out, and you can access the vehicle fairly easy in the back as well. And the back door, very similar styling as the front. It has that net pocket at the bottom, mostly hard plastic, a little bit soft there, a little bit soft there, but basically the same deal. You can see there's a little bit of space under the seat here in case you want to utilize that for cargo space if you have passengers. You can also fold these seats down in a 60-40 split. And the seats are quite a way, they're a little bit tilted. You can notice the seats are tilted back. This kind of keeps you in position. Like if you're going off-roading or whatever, it kind of keeps you planted in your seat so you're not, bouncing off the seat or whatever. That's one plus. It also has these pockets here on the back of both the driver and the passenger seats here. And it's the seats are kind of dished out, and they're soft. So that way if you happen to hit your knee against it, it's not going to hurt you or anything, which is good. The seats are quite a ways off the floor, so your knees aren't sticking up in the air too much. So back here is the window switch controls, also a charger. So let me go ahead and open this up so you can see. There's a USB-C and a regular USB on that side, and on this side is a power inverter, a 3-prong power inverter, and it puts out 400 watts, which is pretty decent for just an integrated power inverter in a vehicle. It's on the higher end, really, unless you're dealing with a generator in the vehicle. There's also an armrest here, and it has some cup holders, and it has a little articulating arms there, so it kind of takes up the slack for different size cups. But you can see the latches there for taking out the tops. You also notice that it has a felt carpet to keep the noise down in here. So it is already pretty noisy. So if it's without that carpet, it's probably more noisy. Probably cuts down on the echo is the main purpose there. Echo and vibrations, that kind of stuff. How you take the doors off is that you take off, there is a bolt down here, and then there's a bolt right here. So you basically have to unbolt it from the hinges, and then you can lift. It actually says lift right here, so you can grab your hand there. It has like a little handle under here, and you can lift up the door off the hinges. Of course, you do have to unplug the electronics from the door there, and you can lift it off the hinges and get out of the way. So instead of like a Jeep Wrangler has the bolts on the outside of the door, this one has it in the normal, the normal place that hinges are normally located on a door. Taking a look at the back of the vehicle, you can see it has the privacy glass here in the back, including the rear glass here. It also has the heated rear glass as well. So you can turn that switch on, and and defrost this window back here. There is a wiper down here, and it kind of swings up. There's also a washer, so you can, you know, wash if you get mud on there, you can kind of wash some of it off anyway. And third brake light, it's an LED. It's right in there. You can see that in my night video. It's right above this huge tire. And check it out. They have the backup camera right in the center of the tire, right here. And it has like this place right here. So when you're putting on and taking off the spare tire, it kind of has you a little place to set it and slide it in place, which is nice. Now, I'd highly recommend putting a lock on the spare tire for sure. But you can see this one doesn't have that. And also, these are really nice wheels, but cleaning them, it gets quite a bit of stuff that gets caught in this little rim. So you want to keep that in mind. Let's say your tire gets out of balance or whatever, you want to check and make sure that's cleaned out, so you're not carrying a lot of mud and dirt in the area there. And pressure wash it out frequently. As the Bronco badging back here, looks really cool in that gloss black. So the bumper has the parking sensors across the back. There's one of them here. You can see another one there. There's the exhaust. There's a recovery hook there in the back, and a towing package with the 4- and 7-way outlets with covers on it. It has really good suspension system for off-road. Like when you're driving on the regular road, it's like driving like a race car on in a school zone. It's like it doesn't feel right. Like this vehicle, it feels like you want to take it off-road. But you feel a lot of bumps on the road. It feels like it amplifies some of the bumps on the road. So it's pretty interesting. I thought that would be the opposite, but it has apparently a pretty stiff suspension or something. The tail lights are LED, so turn signal, reverse lights, tail lights, brake lights, all that stuff is LED, and it's very bright and sharp and crisp and looks fantastic, especially at night. You can see just miles away. They're just really, really good. You can check out my night video and see what I'm talking about, but excellent exterior lights on this vehicle. It even has the zone lighting on the outside, which you can't really see during the day. It's something you have to see at night. Rear tailgate has the same proximity sensor system as the front two doors. So you can lock the doors here, you can unlock it. As long as you have the key with you, you can simply grab the handle, it unlocks the doors. Now, when you open the door, it has this huge piston right here. So it kind of fights you a little bit. So I open the door like that, it wants to swing back, It's one of those things where you kind of have to keep pressure on it and you just keep on pushing it until you want it till it has the position that you want, and then you kind of let go and it kind of holds it there once you reach a certain point. But the nice thing about this tailgate is that you can keep going, and it goes all the way out to there. So it gives you a lot of space to enter the cargo area by having it out of the way. So like say the Jeep Wrangler, it doesn't go quite as far, so it could get in your way a lot. Now, one thing is it only opens up one way, so that's something to consider as well. But and it also does a pretty good job of handling the weight of this big tire. The Jeep Wrangler has a different system here, and like say if you had kind of like slammed the tailgate, it could like dent the weight of the spare tire could like dent the tailgate. This one feels really solid. I mean, you can really slam it, and it doesn't really. It just handles that weight better, in my opinion. Okay, so this lifts up, like so, that glass. And this is your cargo area. So if you have all the seats occupied with passengers, this is how much cargo space you have, which is great. I mean, there's a lot of space back here. It's also very squarish. So as far as cargo, like if you put boxes or whatever, it's kind of practical as far as the shape of the cargo area itself. There's a 12-volt power supply here on the right side, as well as a cargo light. There is a light here that kind of gets a little bit of light back here, but it's mostly this one here on the right side. subwoofer, which sounds great. The sound system's awesome. It has a B&O sound system. You can see there's some there, speakers there and there in the roll cage. And the roll cage is body colored as well. Most of it's covered up though. You can see there in the front. There's like a little storage pocket there. Right in here. So you can put some stuff. Very small and, you know, but it does give you the ability to put something there. There's some tie downs. I like the way it has like a little lasso at the tie down. Pretty cool. Under this floor is a little bit more cargo space. Put tools or whatever. And it has a drain plug. So in case water gets in here, you can drain it out. And there's also the jack and tools for the spare tire. There's some in here. There's also a funnel because it has the capless design fuel door. So you can fold these seats down. It's a 60-40 split, so you can see the split right here. You can fold it down, this seat down or that seat down, to add to your cargo space while still maintaining passenger space. Or you can fold them both down and have a wide open spot. Now it's not completely flat and level though. The seat area is a little bit higher than the back part, but it does have like this little plastic ramp that, you know, allows you to kind of scoot stuff up to the seats area. This one also had this cargo mat, so it has the Bronco on it and it kind of fits in there nicely. And it kind of covers up everything, but it makes it a little bit harder to reach the tie downs as well as this storage area there, but it does have that you know, that option if you want to use it. The way these seats fold down, you first have to fold the headrest like so, and you can do that even when you don't fold the seats down to give you a little bit better visibility back here. And then there's a handle that you can pull, and when you do that, the lower part, you see the lower part of the seat comes down as well. So if you have anything under the seat, you want to remove it. But that helps make the load floor lower than what it otherwise would be. But you can see there's still, you know, quite a big difference between the cargo area and the new cargo area here where the seats are. The fuel door is here on the driver's side, and it's not a locking fuel door. And it has this little pictures right here of the different Broncos through the years, or old Broncos basically. Those are the old ones. And it's a capless design, so you don't have to worry about a cap. Starting it up, as long as you have the key inside the vehicle, press and hold the brake and push this button. Here's the floorboard in front of the driver's seat. Now you notice this floor mat snaps in place in two places, and it's contoured to the vehicle quite well. There's the accelerator, brake pedal, a footrest here on the far left, and a lot more room than say a Jeep Wrangler. This is very much roomier and comfortable for me anyway than a Wrangler. All right, so let's take a look under the hood. Before I lift the hood, I just want to mention something. The hood is actually aluminum, but so is these a lot of these panels. So the hood's aluminum, this front fender is aluminum, or aluminium depending on where you're from, and then you see the doors are also that. This part is actually steel. So the rear quarter panel is the only steel portion, and the rest of it is just aluminum. To open the hood, there's a little yellow latch. I don't know if you can see it in there, right in there. And it's basically a little bit to the left of center. So you kind of reach in here and right above the O here and move it to the left and lift up on the hood. And since the hood is aluminum, it's not that heavy. Well, it could be a lot heavier. Now it does require a prop to hold it up. Here's the prop here, and it swings up to the right and goes right to that arrow. There's insulation under the hood. There's also a seal across the front and back, kind of help out with the airflow. and noise. There's some insulation there on the firewall as well, and around the battery. And the battery is fairly easy to get to here. And the engine is not covered up with a big plastic cover, which is nice. There's the intake here, the air intake. Here's where the air flows in, and you'll notice like there's a hole right here. So right in, air goes in, there's a hole right there to divert any mud or dirt that happens to find its way here. Kind of like try to get rid of that as much as possible. Also, same thing in the box as well. So this is the 2.7 liter. You do have the option of the 2.3 or 2.7 liter EcoBoost engine, and it's paired to the 10-speed automatic transmission in this case, but you can get a manual in some trim levels. Here on the windshield it says Bronco established 1966, which is pretty interesting. But you also have these little places for accessories. So you can see a mounting place, but also a power to each one of these places, and also here as well. And they're fairly easy to get to, and you know, add lights or whatever. And there's a lot of accessory switches on the inside, and the reason why I'm showing you these things, because you know, if you need to upgrade lighting or whatever, this vehicle is ready to go as far as the upgrades. The inside of the driver's door is just like the other side, no difference. There's no additional buttons or anything. Same thing with the power seat. It's the same exact power seat, two-way lumbar adjustments, up and down, forward and back, all that kind of stuff. Left of the steering column, there's a few buttons here. First is the parking brake, so you can pull it to engage it, and it engages the rear wheels. Headlight switches here, so you have off, parking light, automatic headlights, and then headlights on manually. On the left side is a kind of like a spot or a floodlight to the left and right of the side mirrors, and I'll show you that in the night video so you can get more light on either side. And this is separate from the zone lighting. And then the interior dimmer switch for the gauges and just general buttons and stuff on this inside of the vehicle is here. It also has a tilt and a telescoping steering column that you lock in place with this right here. Right there. I'm sitting in the driver's seat checking it out, and I have the driver's seat all the way back and all the way down so you can see the potential legroom. I'm 6 feet tall and quite a bit of legroom. This is too far back for me really to drive. I do have to pull it up a little bit, so if you're over 6 feet tall you should have no problem with driving this vehicle. Lots of room. I really like the fact that it has a lot of left leg room here. So looking at the steering wheel, it's a leather wrapped steering wheel. Very comfortable, tightly wrapped, but it does have some cushion to it. It's not like a super rigid or anything. You can get a good grip on it. It's kind of rubbery soft in a way, but it's very good. Right in here is like a hard plastic. So the buttons on the steering wheel, you can see they're kind of like over molded here to protect what it seems like is to protect from any kind of like moisture or rain or something like that. But it does feel good. Like you can position your hand without even looking once you get used to the buttons, because there's different levels. And unlike some of the other Fords, you know, it's the layout's a little bit better than from what I've seen before on other ones, especially like the Mustang, where you know, there's just too much going on. But right here is fairly simple. So on the left side, it has right here the volume for the radio. And in that same spot over here is to change to the tracks on the radio. So those are kind of like its own separate little thing regarding the radio. The rest here on the left side is the cruise control. So you can turn it on, set with either one of these, and resume and cancel with that button. This button is for the lane keep assist system. My experience with that, it just warns you when you get out of the lane. I don't feel any assistance whatsoever as far as keeping it in the lane at all. But it does, you know, kind of vibrate the steering wheel when you get out of your lane, so it kind of alerts you. It's more like a lane departure alert system. And then this right here is this has the adaptive cruise control, which I showed you the sensor in the front, and this can set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you while you're driving. And my experience so far, it's just a little bit too close in most settings. I kind of have to keep it at its furthest setting to feel a little bit more comfortable. It just seems to ride a little bit close to people. So once it's turned on, you can cycle through, and it just kind of gives you these bars. So that's the furthest one, and then you can get a little bit closer if you want. So it depends on traffic patterns and, you know, the way everybody's driving, your speed, all that kind of stuff. But you know, basically that's what that's for. So there's only one stock here to the left, and that is turn signal. It's also for your high and low beams, and it's also for your windshield wipers front and back. So this is for your front here, this is for the back here, and then to wash the front, you push right in here. To wash the back, you pull it down on this little space here. So the gauges, it's kind of like a combination of a regular gauge there and then a screen. So now to control those, this screen, now we'll look at the other side of the steering wheel, and you'll see that it has a back button, an up and down, an OK button. This is where you can answer or hang up your phone, and also has voice recognition as well. So these buttons are, you know, specifically for that screen here. So you can see that it has a regular speedometer, but it's not very precise. It's like it's really wide needle, and in 20, 40, 60, not a lot of room there. So you can kind of get an idea, a general idea how fast you're going. So it has this digital speedometer here. Also, the RPMs, the tachometer, is also digitally represented, and it gives you a numerical number as well as a little bar that goes up and down. You see that? And then there's the fuel gauge, and which direction your vehicle's facing, the digital compass, outside temperature, what gear you're in, odometer, distance to empty. It has all that information. It even has like a little Bronco right in this corner, which is pretty cool. Here on the right side is customizable here, so you can, you know, change what you want to see there. Also, like I showed you before, when you turn on the cruise control system and the lane keeping assist system, it changes the view a little bit. So you can see that the speedometer kind of scoots over, and then it makes room for this kind of stuff. So you can turn that off, and you see how it just kind of changes the look a little bit. And then when you turn that off, it makes that even bigger. So it kind of adapts to what you're doing at the time. But you notice the speedometer is still about the same size. It just makes the box that's holding the speedometer bigger. So for whatever reason. Okay, so this information here to the right. If we push up and down, we can kind of get some more information there. And depending on what screen it is, it'll get larger or smaller. So here's the off-road information, like the pitch and roll, and where the amount of energy that's going to the front wheels versus the rear wheels. You know, so it's this four-wheel drive, and it also has a four-wheel drive automatic system, so you can kind of keep an eye on you know, where the power is going. Also, the turning, as I turn the steering wheel, this little degrees number will change and give you an idea of how far you have the wheels turned, which is good. So this is off-road specific type stuff. Scrolling down again, you have just specifically the pitch and roll, but you notice it's very small. It's kind of hard to see, but it does have that numeric value that you can see. Scrolling down again gives you the power distribution by itself, if that's what you want to focus on. You have the tire pressure, and then you have a kind of like a gauge cluster in a way, where it starts off here with the turbo boost, how much boost the turbo is getting. You really have to be going anywhere for it to do anything. And this is the engine oil temperature, and this is the transmission temperature, and this is the voltage of the battery and the charging system. So these are relevant for, a lot of that's off-roading. So if your oil gets too hot in your transmission or your engine, you want to let it cool down and not drive it so hard, like if you're doing some serious off-roading type thing. Scrolling down again, you can go in here, configure this view. So it says this is what's called My View in the system. You have different information here. There's trips, fuel economy, and then you can go in and change and choose what you want. And you can only select so many of them. I'm not sure why, but it limits how many ones you can select. But once you select all of them, then it grays out the other ones. So you would think you'd be able to just select all of them, but it limits you for whatever reason. So the gauges is good. Tire pressure, to me, for my purposes, would be the fuel economy, the trip here. So I can see how many miles I've driven and what the fuel economy is, that kind of thing, as kind of a default view, but it all depends on what you're doing. Now, as far as your engine coolant temperature, that's down here. The other one I showed you is the engine oil temperature, so you can keep that in mind. And this button right here, you can see that it's like a little list, like lines on a page, and when you push that, it pulls up this menu, and you can basically go into different screens. Basically some of it's the same thing, like the off-road. You can go in here and select the one you want and get to it that way, which is kind of a different way of doing it, I guess. When you go into navigation though, you would think that maybe it'll show a map here, but it doesn't really. It doesn't really do that. It just shows you like recent destinations that you can pull up, or your favorites you can pull up, or points of interest, that kind of thing. Phone, this kind of show you information about your phone, like if you're waiting for a call or whatever, it'll pop up and give you the caller ID, that kind of thing. Then you can go into settings, and there's a couple things here that you can set up, like you can change the kilometers per hour, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's kind of a basic rundown of that screen and how to use it with these buttons here. You have the up and down, OK, back button, and the little list button there. We saw the start button. So this is the larger screen, but right above it, remember I pointed out this 12-volt power supply. There's like little places to put some stuff on the dash, kind of quick access stuff. So right here is some buttons, and this is off-road focused for the most part. So if you need to lock the front axle, rear axle, or if you need an off-road turn assist, basically it locks it locks one of the rear wheels depending on which way you're turning to give you a better turning radius in tight, loose, like off-road conditions, sort of like a tractor where it locks one wheel and it kind of spins around better. So that's what that's for. And all these are off-road focused things. You have to be in four-wheel drive, you have to be off-road, that kind of thing. The traction control off. Traction control is default on, but if you need to spin tires, like if you're getting stuck, or potentially could get stuck, or you're already stuck, that kind of thing, and you need to spin tires, you want to go ahead and turn off traction control. And then of course there's the four-way flashers. You can use those anytime. So down here is a nice big screen. Look at that, in context to everything else. But the thing about this screen is it doesn't, even though it's large, it doesn't seem to bother my eyes at nighttime. I have a nighttime video, showing it and everything, but during the day or night, it's not really overly bright. It's not really an issue. It really is well done as far as easy on the eyes, even though it is LED backlit, and it's highly visible, but it's not overly like bright, shining in your face all the time. And of course the brightness is adjustable and all that as well. So here it's really easy to use. It's not super complicated. Even though it's a big screen, you think it has all this complication, but it's not. And another thing I like about it is this flat surface here. So if you're in a bumpy road and you're doing any off-roading, your finger is not going to be able to just reach over and touch a button. You're going to be bouncing all over the place. So having a place to rest your hand to steady it and then having most of the buttons here on the very bottom, so you can quickly access, steady your arm, and access the different buttons. So here's the basic, go-to buttons right here at the bottom. The first one here is the media, and you can choose different sources. So it's AM, FM, satellite radio, and Bluetooth. It does have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay capabilities as well. And then your phone, you can connect different phones here, and you can send and receive calls, but you can also play audio and all kinds of stuff here. Navigation. So you notice that the navigation seems a little bit small relative to the screen. You can make it bigger by pushing that button. It kind of slides that thing off to the side, and it gives you the full, or a bigger screen here. But it's still a little bit narrow this way. It'd be nicer if it was like the other way around, where it was taller, because as you're going, you want to see down the road a little bit further. But this is still good. It gives you your bearings pretty good, and it's easy to read and all that stuff. It gives you the basics. You can pinch, zoom in and out relatively easy. And of course you can search here. You can go in, there's your settings here, but if you wanted to search a particular address or whatever, you can type it in here. Just like any other navigation, really. It's easy to use. Alright, so apps. So this is the Android Auto is what I use. Apple CarPlay can be set up, and then you can go in and add more apps if you need to, but that's the basics right here, getting started. The next one is settings. You can go in and set up whatever you want. You can set up a Wi-Fi hotspot. You can do system updates as well. This next icon here at the bottom is the features, and you can go in and adjust. It's kind of like settings for the different features the vehicle has. So you can do the lane keeping system. I actually had the assist system turned off. It was just alerting me, so that's why I wasn't experiencing the actual turning of the steering wheel. Cruise control, adaptive, you can change that to just a regular cruise control if you want, and different options here. Your blind spot, all these, so you can turn on or off. Zone lighting. I showed this in the night video. You can actually have lights in different zones or all around the vehicle if you're working at nighttime and you need some additional light beside the vehicle. It looks really good, and it's very functional. It's not like super bright spotlights that's going to blind you, but it does give you some functional light around the vehicle. Towing. So this would be like if you're towing the vehicle, if you're actually towing something behind the vehicle, and it has a trailer sway control. So if the weight of the trailer is not quite right and it's starting to sway a little bit, it tries to mitigate that, but you still want to load the trailer properly. And it has an owner's manual. Takes a second to load up. And I like onboard owner's manuals because you can search. So in this case, you can do a visual search or a text search. So like if you just want to, there's a particular button here or here, different places on the dash. You can, if you don't know what to search for because you don't know what it is, you can visually search, which is really nice. Or you can type in by going here and typing in what you're specifically looking for. So a regular owner's manual that you have in your hand, you don't have that search functionality. You can basically gonna have to just flip through it. So this sidebar right here has different views, and we can scroll up and down. You can see what different views it has. It even has a little mini map if you want that. Information about the zone lighting, off-road, status, fuel economy, and there's trip here. Now you notice this is the trip I started when I reset this when I started driving the vehicle. So I'm getting about 17. It should be a little bit slightly better than that because I do like right now I'm just sitting here not driving around, so it kind of skews the numbers a little bit. But when I'm doing the videos, but I've driven at 436 miles, got an average of 17.4, and so right now it's 244 miles to empty. And this is what the fuel gauge looks like here. It's about halfway, somewhere in there, a little bit over half. You can also push this button and kind of like swipe through the one that you want and find the one that you want. And it has like these little icons here, but it's the same kind of deal where you can just kind of do that. And remember, if you have the navigation, certain screens, you can expand that and make that go away. But you know, if you want to have that, it's fine too. Okay, so down here is the volume for the radio, tuned through the stations, kind of traditional knobs there for the radio. This button is for the camera system, which is great. So when we push that button, right now, since we're not in reverse, it gives us a top-down view on the right side, and then it gives us a front view. If we put it in reverse, it gives us a rear view here, and then still the top-down. So depending on what we're doing, this camera button, now if you just put it in reverse, you don't have to push the camera button, it'll just automatically pop this view up. And you can change this view by pushing here, and it gives you these options. So it has the top-down view. Let's say you don't care about the top-down view so much, you really want more focused on the front, or focused on what's on the front and the sides. So it gives you like this stretched out view so you can see what's going on. You notice that this line, see this line right here, is not straight, but on the ground it's a straight line. So it gives you an idea of the view that you have. It looks straight that way, it looks straight that way, and straight forward. And once you get used to that view, then or what you're seeing, because it is distorted, but once you understand what you're actually seeing, it's very useful for navigating off-road or just pretty much anywhere. It's a really good view once you understand what it is. Same thing in reverse. When you put it in reverse, you can go here and you can get just the reverse there, or you can get that same wide view, and so you can see if there's a car coming from either side, that kind of thing. So if you really need to look like further than the 360 camera, this is top down, but it's only a few feet away from the vehicle. But the other view gives you just a really good, distance view around where you're at. Plus you can use this button here to, like if you're backing up to a trailer, it gives you that focused view directly in that area. And as you turn the steering wheel, it shows you the direction of your center line. So same thing here when you're in reverse. It has a trajectory of which way the vehicle is going as you turn the steering wheel. So it's active guidelines, basically. So the camera system is fantastic, and it's just, I mean, the screen's big enough to where it's useful. There's not a whole lot of stitching problems here with the top-down view, and the different views are simple, straightforward, and very useful. Not too much nonsense going on. Okay, so down here we saw the buttons and the camera. Now this is the stop-start feature. You can turn that off. This will turn the engine off when you come to a complete stop. So I always turn it off because I don't really like that feature. Default will be on, so you'll have to turn it off every time you get in the vehicle if you don't like that feature. Parking sensors, you can turn them off if they're bothering you, but default will be on. And this is changing through. You can see it's changing through, depending on what you're playing. You can change to the next radio station, or radio station tuning here, but this will be the next track. So if you're playing with like Bluetooth or USB device, that kind of thing, you can select different tracks there. And you can also play and pause here. So you can quickly pause it and then you can resume it, which is really good. So right now I have the camera up. I don't have the ability to go into the screen and play and pause. So if I'm in reverse, or if I'm, whatever, using the camera for whatever reason, or if I'm just here and I don't want to go over to the audio just to hit pause, I can just quickly use this physical button here, which is, I'm glad they added that. Alright, so below this area, this is the climate control down here. It's a dual zone, driver, passenger, and it shows the temperature. Right now I have them synced together, and so it shows the temperature as you scroll through. It also shows it on the screen here, so it gives you in different places. And you can turn it off by pushing that button. And when you do that, you don't see anything on it. You can turn it on, and then you have front and rear defrosters, heated steering wheel, heated seat. So the heated steering wheel's on or off. Heated seat is 3-stage, and it gets very warm. So in the wintertime, if you live in a cold climate, these seats would be fantastic. When you turn on the rear defroster, it also turns on the heated side mirrors as well. This is, you can change where you want the air to blow, the fan speed, recirculate the air, and all that. Now, this is the passenger heated seat. It also has automatic function, so you can turn that on and it'll kind of adjust everything for you. You just set the temperature, but it has different levels of that. So if you want automatic but you want a little bit higher, you can change high, medium, or low. So it has an automatic function, but you have some capability of kind of limiting the high speed of the fan, because sometimes the fan speed just just going out of control sometimes on automatic setting, so you can kind of limit that if you want. So down here there is a storage compartment, but it also, in this particular model, has the wireless charger for your cell phone. So you just set your cell phone there, and in my case, even with my cover, it still charges the cell phone right in this area. This opens up, and then you have a USB-C and regular USB. It's a charge port, but it's also how you access the system. Now the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is wireless, so it doesn't actually have to be plugged in, which is nice. It has this little plaque saying that it's manufactured in Michigan, which is pretty neat. Here's the cup holders, and you can see I have this cup here to show you that it kind of, these little articulating arms take up the slack for different size cups and bottles, which is nice. Some vehicles don't have this, a lot of them do, but the ones that don't have it, it's like it's really annoying, because it's, when you put a bottle in there and it's just wobbling around constantly. This vehicle, I'm glad it has, and it has 4 of them, so kind of holds your cup or your bottle nice and snug. Same thing with those net pockets on the sides. When you put a bottle in there, it just holds it in place. It's not rattling around, and this is especially good for off-roading or bumpy roads, that kind of thing. Okay, so here's the shifter, and it has a little Bronco there, which is neat. And it has a plus and minus here, so you can gear down or gear up when you need to. It's useful for going down hills or whatever. But let's go ahead and put it in reverse. We already saw the camera system, but also the parking sensors are now active as well in the back. And even if you're in drive, the parking sensors are active in the front as well. So if you get close to something, it'll beep at you if you get close to something, and alert you that before you hit something, hopefully. And then there's a manual mode down here, so you can change to the gears using this button here. And so that might be useful for certain off-road conditions, or certainly going down a hill and you need to get some engine braking, that kind of thing. Okay, so the 4-wheel drive controls are here, and it also has different drive modes. So this big dial right here, they're calling it the G.O.A.T modes. And let's go ahead and change that, because on here on the screen it shows you what's going on. So if I go to the right, so you can see I'm in normal mode. Scroll to the right, it's Eco, then Sport, and it'll pop up and say 4x4 shift in progress. So Sport is not for regular daily driving sport. It's for 4-wheel drive type sport. And you can see it shows the 4-wheel drive status is now changed to a 4-wheel drive instead of 2-wheel drive. Scrolling to the right again will take us to slippery, so it's letting the vehicle know that we're on slippery terrain. The next one will be mud and ruts, sand, and when we put it in sand, it's going to, this is off-road use only, but you can see it's locking the rear differential, and it shows here and there to let you know it's going on off-road use only. Scrolling to the right, again, will be Baja. And when you put it in Baja mode, it will have this camera that you can drive now with the camera on. And this is for off-road use only. But yeah, you can just use this to kind of navigate and see what's directly in front of the vehicle while you're driving. And you can see it's the linear view. All right, next one. And that's it. That's it for the drive modes. So those make it easy to just, you know, choose a kind of like a default setting. But if you want to specifically just change to 4-wheel drive high, 4-wheel drive low, 4-wheel drive automatic, you do have those options here as well. It's just simply push the button. So when I push the button, 4-wheel drive high, it's going to pop up here and say shift in progress, and then it's going to say, you know, show that the 4-wheel drive high is now activated. So it's just very simple. You also have a trailer mode, trailer tow mode, so it lets the vehicle know that it has some additional weight that it has to handle in the back. Okay, so right in here is how you adjust the side mirrors. These are controls that would normally be on the doors on a normal vehicle. So you adjust the side mirrors here. So you pick a side and adjust it with this little pad. And then here is the power windows. You can lock the rear windows if you need to, like you keep kids from rolling the windows up and down. These are one touch, up and down. So we can just push it. It goes down. Lift it up, and it'll go all the way back up. Now I've noticed that sometimes when you shut the doors, the seal doesn't seal up properly, especially on this back door here. And what happens is you get all this wind noise like the window's down, but it's not down. So what you do is you roll the window down and then roll it back up, and then it'll kind of reseal itself. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Here's the armrest, and it's kind of rubbery soft and, you know, comfortable for the most part. It's fine. It has a nice good size to it. And it does lock in place, and it also has a ability to lock this compartment as well with a little key right there, using the physical key inside the key fob. And when you unlock it, it kind of slams back down on you. So what you have to do is lift it up all the way, but if it has a little bit of tilt forward, it slams back down. So you kind of have to keep an eye on that. Just kind of have your arm covering it or something. And then here's a little quick access tray that they have at the top that you can put some stuff in. And it's just a basic compartment here. It does have a 12-volt power supply, but other than that, it is just a basic compartment. And has a felt lining at the bottom. The rest of it's smooth plastic, and there's no light in here, and there's no light in the glove compartment. So that's kind of a spoiler for the night video, but there's some big time lacking poor lighting here in the inside of the vehicle. The exterior is nice. There is a place for wires to go in and out of this compartment here to go to the outlet, the 12-volt power supply. The rear view mirror, it's an auto dim rear view mirror. It's actually auto dimming now because I have this shade over the light sensor. Above the rear view mirror, there's a whole bunch of auxiliary switches, and you can see they light up as you turn them on. Now the auxiliary switches are not connected to anything right now, but you can connect them to say off-road light bars or whatever you want to connect them to. So it gives you that ability, you know, kind of pre-installed switches for you for whatever you're, you know, whatever you want to add to the vehicle, off-road type stuff or whatever. Then it has these lights. So you have interior lights. You can turn off the lights from turning on when you open the door. You can turn that feature off. You can turn on individual map lights here or here. And, you know, these aren't super great, but they do give you the ability to see a little bit. They mostly shine on the dash for some reason. The visors, they kind of have like a vinyl covering, a little clip right here. There's a HomeLink garage door opener controls. They're not backlit illuminated. And then you have regular lights here on the vanity mirrors. Same thing on the passenger side. And these tops, they come off like T-tops in a way. And it's basically, you just unlatch it, just like a Jeep Wrangler, just like the new hardtop Jeep Wranglers. You can see the latch there. There's latches here, here. So you can take these two fronts off, then you can take the second level off, and you can also take, you know, the whole thing off basically, and drive around like a Jeep with the top off basically. You can also get a soft top for it as well. Taking a look at the visibility, it's fine. I mean, there's lots of windows back there and not much obstruction. So even, you know, even with the camera system and all that stuff, it's nice to be able to look around the vehicle, and in this case you can. You notice the headrests kind of align for the most part with the pillars in the back anyway, so they don't really get in the way, but you can also fold them down if you want to. But yeah, nice big windows back there, easy to see for the most part. Now it does have the camera system, parking sensors, it even has the blind spot monitors and the rear cross traffic alert as well. So as far as you got good visibility. You also have all the sensors basically, so, and camera system, which is great, which all helps out with that. Alrighty, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.